Okay. Okay. 3, 2, 1, take.
Hello and welcome to this issue or this episode of Point Counterpoint. We are here to debate, deliberate and discuss an ongoing issue which has been plaguing Goan society for a very, very long time. Sadly, our men in uniform, many of whom are very fine officers who dedicate their lives to maintaining law and order and peace and carrying out investigations and make Goa a much better and safer place. Their work and their dedication is very often undermined and let down by black sheep in the police force. Now the question that we need to ask here is whether the quantity of the black sheep in the basket is increasing and completely obliterating the good sheep in that basket. And that is a dangerous portent, because every society, and the police are, after all, is a part of society. Every society will have good people, good elements and bad elements. It happens in politics, it happens in every aspect of life, in all walks of life, in all professions, including the media. But the point here is that when police officers, and we are not going into IPS or Goa Police Service or what have you, generally when uniformed officers, because at the end of the day when you wear a uniform, your uniform speaks, not the rank and what you have on your shoulders. The uniformed force is increasingly being seen as corrupt, as pliable, as subservient to political masters and not to the people. And the basic, say, inefficiency in training. Of course, there's some amount of time being spent in training, but it's not good enough. But the point here is that irrespective of whether you're trained or not, whether you're efficient or not, your functioning is completely dictated either by political forces or your own need to be corrupt. And now even that own need to be corrupt is also linked to the powers that you're serving. These are contentious issues. But we will go with a couple of 2 or 3 statements made by very eminent people, and those statements are interesting to note. One is, there was a gentleman officer called Ashish Kumar, I think he was SP, ACB some time ago. He says, we are sitting idle in Goa because we have the tolerance to corruption in Goa is very high. He said this during a Vigilance Awareness Week. Then Advocate Radharao Gracias, who's here with us, recently he had said this to Herald. In Goa, the police are so corrupt that nothing works until you pay the police. Chances of police making a fair investigation are almost negligible. The law will always be in favor of those who bribe the police. And retired SP Mahesh Gaonkar had very rightly also focused on one interesting aspect, which he will discuss. He has essentially said that registration of an offence, compiling of a good charge sheet, a well-represented prosecution, good jail operations, all these reforms are very important for the justice delivery system. But the point here is that if the need to deliver justice properly is not felt by many officers because of their own compulsions and their own interests and their own greed, then even good training will not be able to improve the system. So there's a lot to unpack in this whole discussion, but let me introduce a very, very eminent and distinguished panel. Trajan de Mello knows no introduction, apart from being a political person who's worn many hats, but he's a very senior activist and speaks eloquently on various issues. Advocate Radharao Gracias again needs no introduction, columnist, senior lawyer, and a man for all seasons and participant in many controversies. On my right, and it's an honor and pleasure to have him, is a very good representative of the police, of the real police force, retired SP Mahesh Gaonkar, who has served distinguished in a very distinguished manner in his entire long service, and he will honestly respond to many of these issues. And on my extreme right, we have Rama Kankurkar, very dedicated activist, student activist, who's fought for many issues, and he's a on-the-ground activist and part-time politician, if I may ask. Mahesh Bab, I'll start with you because because this is all about the force that you served with so much of pride. I have no special questions. If you could just kindly respond to some of the points I may have raised.
See, you must be questioning me with regards to all these things which are happening in recent past,
Yes.
and the articles appearing in the newspaper and media
Right.
about misconduct of police. And people are more inquisitive about the matter because there are allegations against some very senior police officers. And definitely it's a matter of concern because our police structure is, the hierarchy is in pyramid structure. The lower base is of lower subordinates, then comes the PSIs, and then the PI and the DYSP and ASP, and rest on the IPS who occupy the topmost crescent. And when you see a senior most police officer misbehaving, it definitely leaves a very bad impact on the lower subordinates. Or I would say they will get emboldened, or they'll feel that yes, they also can try this. And it really sets a very, very bad example. And what hurts me is that, and what I feel, there can be black sheep everywhere.
Right.
In every field there are black sheep.
Correct.
So to say, we may have some black sheep in police also.
Right.
But that number exceeds
That's
good
what I-
people
That's right. Yes.
in the force. That is the bad sign. In last 5-6 years, we had, so many bad officers who were thrusted or pushed on us. They were not from, I have no discrimination while
Right.
saying this,
Right.
but being an Agmut cadre, they were pushed into Goa, and they have not only miserably failed, they have spoiled our force. No doubt there have been very good IPS officers in Goa, fantastic officers we had. We learned so many things from them, the investigation maybe, the command, the handling of law and orders. And today also there may be very good IPS police officers in Goa. But there are certain black sheep who can go to such an extent of misbehaving with ladies,
Correct.
misbehaving in pubs and bars and indulging in nefarious activities. This will definitely tarnish Goa police, and it will give a boost to wrong people in the force
Right.
to do further wrongs.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Mahesh Babu. Rather quickly, taking off from where he left off, the feeling seems to be, and as you've said, that the whole force seems to be pivoting around money, in the sense that the money chain and the dance of money dictates the entire functioning of the force, from the time recruitments happen, decisions being taken, and the whole political manipulation that also takes place.
See, what happens, Sujoy, we can't selectively point out only the police.
Exactly.
According to me, the entire system, entire polity is totally corrupt. And the police are perhaps at the top of the list in that system of corruption. Essentially, I would say that our way of life is inclined towards corruption. And when the Portuguese ruled here, whether we like it or not, whether you call me anti-national or unpatriotic, the fact is the Portuguese appear to have been much more honest than the rest of us. And they imposed their own honesty on the local police or on the bureaucracy. And as long as the Portuguese was there, I know everybody who has lived through talking of Portuguese honesty. It's difficult for me to come across anyone, Catholic or Hindu, who does not say the Portuguese were honest. And this
Who
continued.
does not say the Portuguese were not honest?
Were not, were dishonest.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, this continued till around 15 years or so after liberation. And during that period, it was the MGP rule.
Right.
And I can say with absolute certainty that during that time, corruption had not made its inroads into Goa, whether police or any other, on that scale.
Right. Right.
The trouble started after 1980. That's the time politically we joined the national mainstream. Earlier it was MG and UG.
Right.
We may have differences with MG or UG, whatever, but we were local people and we had not joined the national mainstream. The moment we joined the national mainstream, then we went post haste into the national mainstream. Corruption has become a way of life, and you cannot run away from it now. And it isn't just the police force. At every level there is corruption. Now, you see, one thing what happens is, see, every police officer looks for a plum posting. Now you can interpret plum the way you want. But there are certain stations, police stations, which are highly looked up to.
Lucrative.
Or whatever they are.
Huh.
And whether you should be posted here or there is decided by the politician.
Right.
So therefore you are ingratiated to whoever is the politician. And possibly there is also an exchange flow up to down or down to up. So first thing that should happen is the police cadre should be such that they should be beyond being transferred by their political masters. Now if that happens, police may be a little more independent in acting freely and independently. But I know that the moment an officer acts independently, he is immediately against the wishes of the executive. They'll be transferred. So that can't be. First thing, let there be independence of functioning, posting everything, some sort of a group which will decide,
Right.
not the political masters.
Right. Okay. It's interesting that you said this because in 2014, when Michael Lobo was a relatively younger MLA, his exact comments were 2014. Please mark the year. That was the time when there was the BJP government in power, and he was a BJP MLA there. The people of Kalangut are losing faith in the police personnel attached to the Kalangut police station due to the rise in crimes and corrupt practices at the police station. He goes on to say, crimes in the coastal belt of Kalangut are taking place with the involvement of the police officers and staff. And I can surely say that the Kalangut police station is one of the most corrupt police stations in the entire state. And he demanded the transfer. Now, without going into the merit or demerit of this particular comment, my question to you, Trajan Bab, is, like Mahesh Bab very rightly spoke about how the police force gets demoralized when senior officers misbehave with women and all that. That is absolutely correct. My question is this, that if we only look at the situation of an IPS officer molesting a woman or misbehaving with them, or a constable in Kolwa who was recently suspended for running a robbers gang, okay? But should we also be careful of the fact that these incidents should not kind of hide the basic problem which is there? The basic problem is politicization and corruption in the police force. You have bad apples with bad moral character, that is one aspect of it. But I think the bigger disease, if we are calling it cancer, if this is grade 2, but stage 4 cancer is this, that the level of corruption, and at times the corruption is not necessitated by corrupt officers at the junior level, but because of diktats that come from politicians.
See, as we have said and Dr. has said, the system, whether it is police or anybody, the whole system is corrupted to such an extent that people have lost faith in any situation. You go to a government office, same thing. Now, police are more in the focus because they are manning every day, every situation. And therefore, they come more in the focus. Today, the situation is such, nobody, honest person who is really in trouble, who is the victim, would like to go to the police station to lodge a complaint. But the moment he goes there, he is treated as an accused, and the accused is scot-free. This is happening every day in every police station.
So the police station has become like a center for settlement and corruption.
Yes. I can tell you there are people who I know, they know that X will be the station officer on that day. He will commit a crime on that day. And then there's a whole gadbad in the FIR. Okay? He's brought, arrested, released. Now the question is, everybody demands an arrest. And that, with criminals, they are prepared to get arrested, have biryani inside and come out. What happened to the case? Zero conviction. Like I know Mahesh Bab when he had that Mandar case. Mandar case was it?
Yeah.
What a pressure was there on him. But they were all young also, all that. But he took it to the logical conclusion. All poor fellow. I feel sorry for them because it can happen to anybody. But as an officer, he stood up. No mercy, It has to be nipped in the bud, what you call it. He did it, and it sends some lesson across. But when you have, now you take gambling. It is happening every day. How will people have faith? It is happening open.
Correct.
The police are standing there, in fact, to guide them if there's going to be a crime branch raid. So, if this is the way, now take that SP, the other day in Baga,
Right.
that officer level, he gets involved in such a misbehavior.
Above SP actually.
And,
DH.
yeah, and the joke is this happened when the assembly is on. And the pitiable state of our Goa assembly was that they are demanding him to be suspended and sent back. So if any tourist comes here, gets caught in molestation, either take him to the airport and send him, or take him to Patra Devi and send him that. Is it that? The person who is supposed to have law and order should be strictly made an example.
Correct.
My demand would be file an FIR, have a fast track court so that other officers, as Mahesh Babu has just now said, others get emboldened.
Correct.
And today, just now we were listening to Mahesh Babu, he joined on merit. Is today anybody joining on merit? 99. And then what is the suspension in a police department? He will tell you 90% of the suspensions are revoked.
Correct.
And what is the argument? The procedure was not followed. It was not followed to give them the loophole.
Rama, thank you. Rama, to bring you into this conversation, see, you are a young activist with a lot of ideals, fought on the ground and other things, and you constantly fight against the system. Okay. Now the issue is, and you also interact with a lot of officers. Do you really feel that the majority of the force is dishonest? Because my feeling is that they are put into a situation that they are forced to do the biddings of very powerful people, and ultimately the blame comes on. See, when we are criticizing the police force, and we've all done this at various stages in our different capacities, but one should also be sensitive to the fact that they appear to be trapped in a system from out of which there is no relief. Either you leave the force or go back, or be forced to join in this kind of a situation.
Thank you so much for calling me up for the discussions. One thing which I would like to make things very clear in
Yes,
fact. This is last 5 to 6 months.
Right.
The kind of cases which has come across, and one of the major cases regarding the Banastari case accident.
Correct.
When I was directly interacting with the police.
Right.
Now I have heard good about one police officers, one PI from a lot of people. But when I was questioning, and when I was questioning them, and when I realized that they are completely lying. In fact, there was one point where one PI is saying that he have arrested him from Marshall area, the accused, and Device P is saying that he have arrested the same person in Pato while going towards Panjim. Now, in fact, both are sitting together and both are lying. In fact, one person is saying that the same person is caught in Marshall, and another person is saying he have caught in Panjim. So how could the people believe in it? Now the question is, like, from the top portions, we all know that the politicians interfere into all these things, but at the end, whom we cannot directly interact with the politicians, we will directly go to the police stations. And when we find such kind of things happening, like where there is loopholes and the police is trying to protect, we will definitely blame the police guys, because we expect the justice from the police. And second, most importantly, if you go to see this, these are 15 days, 10 to 15 days. These are the crucial time where the investigation should happen proper, because the matter will be fought in the court. The judges will be sitting down, hearing to the evidences, listening to the evidences collected by the police.
Correct.
And now police is collecting the evidences aram se, like, now today I'm 100% sure that 29 CCTV cameras are there from the Banastari, that from the Nandavan hotel till the Banastari accident. Have these evidences collected? And in fact, I was very surprised when the police officer is saying that since the purse of one lady was on the other seat, that means that she was not on the seat. How the logical conclusion has come? And Device P saying directly to us in the video, saying that these cases will be thrown out. Who are you to tell? Who are you to tell? You are directly claiming that this case will be out. Are you a judge? That means it is very clear that, like, we can understand.
But tell me, the thing is, sometimes do you feel that this is due to lack of training and incompetence, or do you think this is due to the fact that they are favoring the powerful?
It is both the things. There are lack of training also, and there is lack of training, and there is a pressure from the top also. Lack of training, why I am telling you, when the incident has happened at 7:45, we all know, and people have come together, we all know that there are technology which is involved. I was working in Idea Cellular Limited, and I was getting a lot of queries from the police that if we want a track record of the telecom one number, where it is located, what is his call details, and these we should submit within 10 minutes. Okay. Now my question is, when these two people who met with an accident, their number is there, in fact vehicle number, you get a tracing of the owner number, contact number, you can give this contact number directly to the telecom industry, ask them where are these people. In fact, I don't find this kind of things happening. I find a different story altogether when I'm asking the PSI. He's saying that they have some other vehicle have come and then they took them directly and they dropped them home. Tell me one thing, when the accident happened, it is the duty of a police officer to take both the party to the medical and do their medical, but it is not happening over there. So it is very clear that, like, we can understand very clearly that the technical part, in fact the training part which is need to be given to the police officers is not, it is like, we have to do this part, okay fine, that is, but you have to have that kind of things like, immediate presence of mind, okay fine, what I need to do now next, okay, this, collect the numbers, just contact the police officers and say that, like, I want all the call records of this person, who is calling this person. Today if you go to see, if you trace the both the people, in fact the male and as well as the female, I will not know who is the driver, but if you trace the call record, you will get everyone who have called whom and from them who have called whom.
Correct. Okay. I'll just get back to you. Mahesh, my question is, if we look at police investigations during your time and other times, the thing is, was there a lot of political pressure to turn an investigation in one way or the other? I mean, is that happen on a regular thing, and how do upright officers like you deal with a situation?
Frankly, to tell you, I never received any pressure to interfering with the investigation or asking me to do wrong from right. I never got such phone calls. Maybe they were aware about my attitude, or maybe they did not dare to do it. But there were phone calls to ask, what is this case? What has happened? And I am frank enough to tell you also, there are, when we register criminal cases and when we used to arrest, the only phone call I used to receive was, Mahesh, don't hammer him.
Right.
I'm telling you, because I was known for that. Legally it is wrong. And they used to request me, please don't hit him. So I said, fine, if my case is solved, there is no question of using third degree or anything of that sort. But there were interested people who would call up and ask. And if in case they would ask me if you can help him, I would rather say no. Or to what extent he can be helped. Whether it is an bailable offense, actually we are supposed to bail him out immediately.
Right.
But what we used to do, it is normally an instinct of police to keep a criminal for maximum time in police custody. Suppose if we arrest him, we will release him on bail within 24 hours.
Right.
But if a person requests you, it's a small case, please release him. So we would finish our formalities and release him as soon as possible.
Right.
And this happens in small cases.
Right.
Like bailable offenses.
Right.
And that guy also feels that we have done a favor.
Right.
And at the same time, we have to maintain that check and balance in the people in the society. And I never had objection in these cases, even today, I would not blame any police officer for giving such leverage or little bit facilities to maintain their repo in the society. But yeah.
So, but Mahesh, my question is, but why are so many investigations, and Dr. will also bear me out, why are so many investigations leading to ultimately acquittals? In the sense that if you look at the percentage of cases that are getting solved, especially of late, then, whether they are criminal cases, whether they are other cases, we find that the acquittal process the percentage of acquittals has completely got dropped. Now, what is the reason for it?
Is anybody interested to find out how many cases have were acquitted and how many have convicted? Nobody is bothered except the victim.
Right.
Nobody is bothered. I always say this. because there is a system, nobody is following this. Very sadly, I would say this. These cases are to be analyzed.
Right.
Once they are acquitted or convicted, there is an committee.
Right.
The cases which are decided by lower courts or JMFC level
Right.
are to be discussed by the by a committee which is chaired by the DYSP,
Right.
and the session tribal cases are to be discussed by SP.
Right.
And definitely you should take action into the cases wherein the case went into acquittal because of the failure of investigation or a bad investigation.
Right.
It should be followed. Till the time you don't do this,
Right.
there is no accountability.
Correct. Correct. That's true.
So these are time bound matters. Time bound in the sense, see, you cannot wait. If the crime takes place, you cannot say, I am supposed to be off duty at 8 o'clock. No.
Right.
It goes on and on and on and on. Especially in murder cases, I will tell you, you have only 14 days with you. If you get 14 days remand of that accused, within 14 days you have to finish that investigation. The crux and build up your story,
Right.
how it has happened. If you fail to do that, the case is gone.
Correct. Correct.
And then finally, during the trial, it is the strength of that IO or the investigating officer, how he goes along with that case with the public prosecutor, how he follows the deposition of the witnesses,
Correct. Correct.
how he helps the prosecution. That is all, that is all instinct of the police officer.
Correct. Correct. Because the thing is, if you look at especially cases against foreigners, I'm just giving an example. If you look at the Dennis Sweeney case, the McLaughlin case, see, the basic complaint amongst a lot of people outside the state is just, in addition to what is happening, is that even when it comes to crimes against foreigners, the investigation doesn't actually lead to any kind of conviction against them.
See, even the apex court has taken cognizance of these issues. There are guidelines. What is called as, there used to be Pairavi officers.
Right.
And the officer was supposed to go to the court and follow up all these cases which are being tried on that day.
Right.
He was supposed to accost those witnesses.
There's a formal position called the Pairavi officer.
Yeah,
Okay.
Help him to recollect what he has stated in the statement under 160,
Right.
161 of CRPC. Then tie up with the public prosecutor, coordinate with him or her, and get the witnesses which may not be available on time. So these are all the things which are done in the interest of prosecution or criminal justice system. So getting those photographs of those criminals whom you catch them as suspects,
Right.
with those bags on their faces,
Right.
that has become a style nowadays.
And it's,
I would
it's farcical completely.
I would be rather happy if they publish photographs of the convicted people
Absolutely correct. Yes, correct.
and without all those bags.
Right. Correct.
I don't know what is the purpose of that. It has become a trend now.
Right, absolutely. I completely agree, because the point is somebody who's guilty of such heinous crime, people should see the person.
And no, they are supposed to close their faces. When they are supposed to close their faces, they are supposed to close their faces when you are supposed to put that accused for test identification parade,
Right.
so that he is not seen by the witness.
Right.
Only during those time. And the stage photography is banned by law. You
Right.
cannot stage the
Photograph.
Yeah.
Correct.
That
But
is
they're still
banned.
doing it all the time.
They are doing it by covering their faces. So you don't know whether he is an human being or an animal, or whether he is criminal or he is someone else.
The same question has come up in the whole Manastari case.
Exactly.
Where people are suspecting that the person who's wearing those pink shorts.
Exactly, you
is
can
not-
clearly see that one fellow is thin and one fellow is fat. You can directly.
See what happens,
yeah,
Joy?
yeah.
The problem is, under our law, investigation has to be done in a very confidential manner.
Right.
Only the IO, those investigating the matter, the public prosecutor may know what is happening. No clues ought to be disclosed to the public. Nothing.
Right.
That is what the law provides.
Right.
See, as the defense counsel, if I move for bail for any accused, the court will hear arguments and will then tell the IO and the public prosecutor, please produce the file,
Correct.
investigation papers.
Right.
The investigation papers are taken to the judge and the judge reads it in private. I, as defense counsel or anyone else, has no access to that.
Right.
Now the purpose of this is the other side should not know what is happening. Now in this Banastaring case, a whole tamasha is made. So the police officer had no business to inform anyone that he was arrested at Marcel or at wherever. See, these are things not to be known. I do not know what is going wrong with the Goa police. Everything that is happened, they speak to the press man. And this is the sort of mess that's happening. I will not go into the details of that Banastari, but my feeling is that the case is, because of the public nature of its investigation, the case may lose its traction.
Right.
And the activists, they should be not be saying who is the accused. What is happening there is, every witness has virtually become a lawyer there. Man, the way they are, you see on TV, you don't need a 5-year degree course now. You are just some small time fellow. The way they discuss, the way they analyze the case, and everybody is concluding that A or B was driving. That is not the way investigation has to be. If you have evidence, you go and give it to the policeman. Don't talk to the press and make an issue out of it. This is what is happening with us.
Okay, moving away from the Banastari thing,
Yeah.
the larger issue again,
Yeah.
going back to the whole issue of the police force and it's allegedly losing integrity. But right now, the fact that it has lost integrity seems to be a more convincing argument rather than.
No,
the other way.
I don't think police have lost integrity. Integrity is never there, man. Where's the question of losing it? You see, the way, from the moment you are selected nowadays, you have to pay. You know, not very long ago, a police officer informally talking to me, he says, "Doctor, किती चालते हैं? RTO इन्स्पेक्टरना पोस्टाक 25 लाख घेतात आणि पोलिसांक 15 लाख. आमचं वालोर होईन गेलो." This is what a police officer told me. I am talking about 15 years back. In other words, an RTO inspector was paying more, which means his earnings were higher. This was the grouse of a police officer informally talking to me. See, you can't run away from the fact that police officers, PSIs, are selected. Either, right now I am talking of the last few years, either you have to be a karyakarta of the BJP or you have to buy your position. Now, karyakarta means what happens? Certain seats are reserved by them at the disposal of their hardcore workers,
Right.
or the sons of workers. And the rest are given to their party MLAs to recoup to collect money. And they normally don't sell to their own party. They, within the
But this
constituency.
was not there during Congress time?
Obviously, it was there. Congress are the grandfathers of corruption. You can't dispute that. But now what has happened? 50 lakhs even is nothing. Earlier, 3, 4, 5 lakhs was, I think, the requisite. It's not that Congress was not there. Congress started it all, man.
Correct. No, but the point, okay, now the issue here is that the coming to the grassroots, a lot of people say, look, this money is not collected only for the welfare of a particular constable or a PSI or even a PI and so on and so forth. The point is the government or are subsequent governments using and misusing the police force as a cash cow or an ATM to pick up money? Are quotas being given to police stations? Is the money going to the top? Is this is it because of this that corruption has become so endemic and nobody wants to get rid of the pandemic because people are happy swimming in this pandemic?
See what happens, Rajan, you answer.
Rajan, you answer.
See, you quoted Michael Lobo
Yes.
of Karangut.
Yes.
That when you see that statement,
It was an interesting quote.
no, it's very interesting. It is interesting as well as it is exposing. That very quote being in the ruling side shows that what you are talking of should go on top. That particular officer there was not able to share with him. So this is another way to come out publicly to put pressure on him. When your chief minister doesn't listen to you to transfer him or put somebody there, then this type of statements come out.
Interestingly, I just wanted to say, yes.
Just one.
Yes,
See,
sure. Yeah.
This Michael Lobo talking of corruption, dishonesty in Kalangut. See, I can say with absolute certainty that the last 3, 4, 5 elections in Kalangut, those who are elected as MLAs, and those who are contesting, those who have lost also, are all those who are small time waiters or cooks or butlers there, who have made money through corrupt links with the police and become MLAs. See, this is clearly true of Kalangut. I know there are MLAs who are there, and they didn't deserve to be MLAs, but they are
Is this
MLAs.
only unique to one place?
No,
Huh.
but when
Kalangut
someone,
is hotbed.
when you got see, are these people otherwise then being MLAs? Did they have any money with them except through dubious means by becoming sarpanches, by propagating all sorts of illegalities? So what right do they have to talk about corruption in the police force? They are the products of corruption, man.
Right. Vaishnav, do you think that there is a great need for like police reform? Now, police reform is a much used and misused word. But the point here is that as long as the political dispensation has absolute power over police transfers, and also would you agree that sometimes even the chief minister may not have a control over all police transfers, the functioning of the police and the posting of officers is also left to respective MLAs, especially ruling party MLAs. Now the point is that there is in the police force there is supposed to be a system through which transfers actually happen, and ultimately the DGP does it. It's passed by the Home Department and so on and so forth. Now, informally, do you think that this process is regularly bypassed, and ultimately the local MLA or the local minister decides who the officers are going to be in different police stations?
See, the request for certain officers, it is there in all government offices.
Correct.
It is, you cannot attribute it only to the police.
No, we can't. Yes.
And
Yes.
you cannot
But
say...
this directly affects law and order and function.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. There may be a very good MLA who wants very good police officer.
Yes, I would
Yeah,
admit that.
I would look
both
into
ways,
that
but
in that side, from that angle. See, I'm very pretty sure, I will tell you, no MLA or no minister will pick up any officer considering his capacity of corruption. I'm very sure. I don't think it has gone to that stage.
Okay.
There are definitely black sheeps everywhere, but corruption will not be a criteria for their postings. There are people, when they are asked to bow, they may crawl.
You're right.
So such type people may be preferred,
Right.
but corruption may not be the criteria for their preferred posting, I would say.
Right.
See, there are instances maybe, or there is quite a chance wherein the officer may take advantage of his connects with that MLA or that
Right.
proper minister, and he may misuse
Right.
his connections.
Right. Right.
And these things may happen.
See,
Yeah, tell me.
see,
I'll go to number.
Mahesh Babu has brought out one very important
Hey,
point.
Samar.
Yeah.
Brought out one very important thing. Where every time we say politician, yes, politician has got his role. But he has shown just now that there are committees at different level when acquittal takes place
Right.
to scrutinize, analyze and take action on that particular IO. Is it done? So leaving it to the hands of the police again, it's the same mess. Now these are things.
Right.
If no IO till today has been taken to action as an example for having let out a good case or a very serious case becoming an acquittal. Have you seen anywhere? Even after strictures being passed by the court, it is played with. He's suspended for some time and then some department inquiry, and is reinstated. So the question is the faith, not only the police department, you go to the collector, you go to the Babdadar, it's reached such a point that the public have reached a frustrated point that there is no trust anywhere, and it has become an accepted position. Unless you grease the palms, nothing happens. Nothing moves.
Sujoy, what happens now? Now, police officers' promotions, they are usually based on what is called seniority. Merit is there. Now, I would feel, and I always felt, that the police promotions
Right.
should not be based on seniority, but they should be based on convictions gained.
Right.
You see, detection of crime, no, detection anyone, idiot can detect anything.
But
It
conviction
has to be
should be-
taken to logical
Conviction.
conclusion.
So the judiciary, see, they should take and they should say conviction in a particular case, so many points. Acquittal, so many minus points. And at the end of 2 years, 3 years, put the points and promote.
Right.
Then corruption would be much less because your promotion depends on performance.
Very good suggestion. Yes.
Yes. Secondly, we have something called the Police Complaints Authority,
Yes.
which has no teeth, not even artificial teeth. So they are just toothless tigers sitting there, and nothing happens. You lodge a complaint, nothing happens. That the law should be given teeth, and the action must be taken within a specified period.
Right.
Otherwise, you lodge a complaint till the police officer is retired, the complaint drags on. It has become, you see, all this, it's only on paper, all the police complaints authority, all these laws are on paper. It must be effectively implemented and executed, and the public must see that some officer has been removed
Right.
or punished,
Right.
or the officer must see that his promotion has been withheld because he
He has failed to secure
Yes,
conviction.
Just to add to this one point,
Yeah.
justice delayed is justice denied. There should be a time limit that a particular case has to be decided.
Right.
One way or the other, at least at the trial level.
Right.
At least at the trial level.
Vishnu, I'm coming to two important issues. One is drugs and one is rave parties and so on and so forth. The reason I'm bringing this is because there's a lot of discussion, a lot of coverage, a lot of controversies around this. My point is that, see, the right-thinking people in Goa, including police and others, have been fighting against this whole menace of drugs in Goa, especially North Goa. Let us look at specific police stations. Penne and Kalangut, stand out in this completely. Okay. Anjuna also. Now, the point here is that in last 10 to 15 years, why have the drugs entering into Goa actually gone up? Number one. Number two, the extent of the drugs that are coming in to Goa being used as a conduit, the number of users has undoubtedly gone up. The pattern of usage has also changed. But Goa, far from controlling drugs, has become a very, very big center where international drugs are coming in. Goa is becoming a conduit for drugs going out and drugs coming in. Now, I come back to this discussion and how this is related, because there is a general feeling that the police force in different police stations has not been strong enough to crack down on this, and they have been complicit with many of this lobby.
I don't agree that they are complicit with this lobby.
No, not all of them. I'm just saying there could be some.
Yeah. Because see, police have been registering regular offences
Right.
about drugs.
Right.
But no doubt the cases are increasing.
You're right.
And see, we have developed different tactics to nab these people.
Right.
And so also these criminals have become enough smart. I'll tell you.
Right.
And I was also holding post of SP narcotics.
Right.
Narcotics.
And I realized so many things, It has become very tedious job to track one drug peddler and arrest him. It
Right.
is not an easy task.
Why would you say that?
Because, see the way the tactics which they adopt, they would say that I will deliver the drugs. They will give you one number of a car. They will travel for 2 kilometers. They will change the vehicle. They'll change the location. They will change the phone number. They will change the person, the courier fellow. They will leave the stuff at one place. They will disappear from there, and they will tell you from the phone, drug is kept here. You keep the money at this place, and you go there. So they use all sorts of tricks.
Right.
Okay, but we still we call ourselves that we are one step ahead of them, and we catch them many times.
Right.
Okay, but as you said that it is an conduit and it goes through Goa. See, I'll tell you, there are drugs. There are different type of drugs. Mostly the drug which is used or consumed in Goa is what we call is at ganja.
Right.
So many times, people, they speak about drugs consumed by students or in educational premises, and these are these drugs, especially this ganja.
Right.
And it is very easy to percolate among young community. No doubt it is very, very bad. But if you try to analyze from where it comes from any person. A guy coming from Rajasthan or from UP or from Jharkhand or from Himachal, he'll carry a small parcel of ganja or charas with him, and keeping in mind that he will buy it for 2,000 and he will think that he will get 4,000 out of it or 10,000 out of it.
Right. Right.
And I have seen even these truck drivers
Right.
who come to places like that. There's a big hub of trucks.
Right.
From where the trucks are supplied for all these industries
Right.
in Ponda. The people used to bring one parcel of this ganja all that every time when he used to come to Goa and deliver it to a certain person, he will buy it for 4,000, sell it for 10,000.
You caught?
Yeah, we had caught,
Right. You caught him.
we caught so many of these people. So this used to happen. And secondly, Goa being a touristic place, Goa is a party place. I have so many cases on record wherein people come with their own drugs
Right, right.
to be consumed in Goa.
Right, right.
So you cannot say that many times people say that you come to Goa on the beach, you will find drugs and this and that.
Right.
See, it is there, you know, this menace is everywhere in
Right.
every touristic place.
Right.
But you know,
Correct.
defaming our own state, saying that it is a drug paradise or you get drugs, I won't agree.
Okay.
But
Sure, sure.
you can pressurize police to be more proactive and book cases.
But do you feel that is not this
Yeah.
allegation is not
These
correct?
allegations,
Okay.
I will not agree.
I'll just give one interesting story, an example, which probably tells a different story. It may not be indicative of the larger issue, but it's an interesting story nevertheless. So about 4 or 5 months ago, there was this British national called Stephen Slotwiner. He was arrested in Mandlawada in Penne, possessing drugs worth 15 lakhs. So when he was caught, he actually made a consumer complaint. What was the consumer complaint? He says that he had paid 2 lakhs to head constable Yashi and constable Parab, Rajesh Yashi and Appa Parab. Okay, and he says that, look, since I've already kind of paid this money for being completely protected, why should I be arrested by the ANC when payment has already gone to the Penne cops? So the idea is that these kind of incidents also come up, which what happens is which undermines the point that you're making.
No, did you find out what happened to these allegations, whether any senior officer has taken cognizance of these allegations, whether any inquiry was conducted
Yes,
in
they
this?
were suspended.
Yeah, fine.
Correct, but we don't know what's happened now.
Yeah.
They were
No.
correct.
Moment they are suspended, that means the department has taken cognizance.
Correct.
Yeah.
But Maheshwar, tell me, out of so many suspensions that happened,
Yeah.
and if Radhara was also saying, how many of these suspensions actually lead to convictions and dismissal from service?
Dismissal from services.
Not even 5%.
Yeah, dismissal from services
5% is a big margin I'm giving.
are very less, I would agree. But definitely after departmental inquiries, people are punished. People are punished. Now with all this what is happening, and you know, I cannot blame society or a common man, I cannot blame them, because it is quite apparent, you know, wherein you see that police is failing. That every action of theirs, if we cannot satisfy them,
Right.
we are a failure.
Right.
Police is a failure.
Right.
It is our responsibility. Our responsibility is not only to do work.
Right.
We are supposed to convince the person who is sitting across the table.
Correct.
And tell him that we are doing this. Like Learned Radhara Sabab has said that we are not supposed to disclose the investigation.
Right.
But I would say the police officer should have that much of confidence to talk to the people who have come with the grievances or who have come to question him, that yes, we are doing this, we have done this, and we will do this, and this we cannot disclose you. And with that guts, I have done this, and I have convinced people.
Right.
People have gone back. I remember I used to tell media what used to happen on every day in important cases with a request not to publish it on the next day, and they used to cooperate. So this should be your rapport with the people, and you can do it. People should have faith in you. So moment you lose your faith, even if police is right,
Correct.
people are not going to believe you.
Correct.
You should not lose your faith.
Correct. Bravo, very important point. I'll just come to you. See, the thing is, now the issue here is that seems to be the basic issue, that the element of faith and trust is going down. So what do you feel that can be done? We'll wrap up after this round. What do you feel that is needed to be done on both sides to restore this faith in the police system, in the uniformed force, so that there can be a greater proper understanding, and the police force is seen as more humane and more responsive to the people?
As Gamkar sir have rightly said, in fact, see, faith कित्याक लागून वता लोकांचो वो अंडरस्टँड करपाची खूब गरज आसा. एक म्हणटा तें जेन्ना पुलीस अपडेट दिता त्यांना तो अपडेट दिता तो व्हेरी कॉन्क्रीट अपडेट आसपाक जाय, नॉट वायर म्हणल्यार हांगा धरला थंय धरला तसो आसपाक जायना. इट शूड बी व्हेरी कॉन्क्रीट अपडेट एंड दे शूड हॅव सर्टन टायम. इट्स नॉट लायक इफ पीपल आर गॅदरिंग, इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी दॅट यू नीड टू आन्सर देम देअर इटसेल्फ. नो, but you have to take a press that this is an update about whatever has happened. Now if Banasteri case जाव आणि कोणी नाल्या सिद्धी नायकाची केस जाव, all these things, whenever there was a pressure,
I'm glad you mentioned this.
yeah, whenever there was a pressure by the public, that time police will come up with the statements. It should not be that way. It should be, you should be
It should be part
proactive.
of a process.
You
Yes.
should say that this is the investigation which is happening. We have been we have taken the call recording. We have to now tell me one thing, whether the police have said that we have taken the call this video recording also from the venue, because right now why we went to the police is we all know that 10 दिसा भितर ते स्टोरेज उरता थंयसर आनी बॅकअप मागीर तो 10 दीस जाल्या उपरांत थोडो बॅकअप 15 दीस आसता, 20 दीस आसता, तो बॅकअप वयता. वी आर स्कॅर्ड, एक्टिविस्ट एज एन एक्टिविस्ट, वी आर स्कॅर्ड दॅट दी एविडन्स विल नॉट बी अवेलेबल. देन हू विल ब्लेम, कोणाक ब्लेम करतलो? सो वी आर डिमांडिंग फॉर दॅट बेसिकली बिकॉज एविडन्स नीड टू बी कलेक्टेड विदिन दॅट 14 days as sir have said, and you should not tell that what evidence has come. It should be, but you should tell that we are doing every possible thing. Yesterday if you go to see Faldesai, who is an MLA, he is saying that chief minister is not been told, he is misguided. Now what people will think? Chief minister is misguided by the police, he is saying. Who is the home minister? Chief minister itself is a home minister. So now when one MLA from your from the same government party is telling you that police is misguiding the home minister, what will we believe in? And we have been forced, activists has been forced to go and make noise over there, because then only we think that Baba, at least now the justice will be done to the public.
Okay. Meshwa, before we wrap up, we're just running out of time. Let's look at an overall situation and not specifically get into one or two stories. See, the idea is that look, one always has hope, and I don't think that police force is irreparable completely. Now the issue is what needs to be done systematically, both at the political level, the government level, the police level and the public level, to get this element of trust back and to get the force to be seen as more proactive. Everybody's spoken about the police reforms bill. They have said make the police complaint authority more active, or they have said with regard to transfers and postings, keep politicians completely out. How much of these are practical and doable?
Definitely it is doable. There is a little bit of cleansing is required, and right people should be posted in right place.
Right.
There are very good officers who are sidelined now.
Right.
At present, when I look at it,
Right.
because I have seen so many police officers, so many of them worked with me. I know their capacity. Don't underestimate Goa police, I will tell you.
Right.
They are it's a very good and elite force in
Right.
this country.
Right.
They can do miracles. They can definitely do miracles.
Right.
But they should be given chance to perform, and they should be guided properly.
Right.
See, I don't talk about every case. There are certain cases, it is open and shut case.
Right. Right.
Now what we are talking about this Banastari case and all, why police required so many days to find out who was driving the vehicle? I was keeping quiet all this time and not talking on that issue. Now somebody has met with an accident, one culprit has made a mistake, one family has lost their family members, they are in distress, and who is taking the blame? The police is under fire. Why? Be clean. You do your job nicely, systematically, sincerely, you do your job and come out of it. Let the culprit be fixed. Let the person who has lost their family members get solace,
Right.
and let them get justice. You do your job. Why are you coming into these controversies?
Right. Right.
You are not supposed to come into these controversies. Do your job. If you are don't get scared of anything. Be sincere to yourself. Be sincere to your profession.
Right.
See, you should become a police officer. Be a police officer. Don't do it. It is not an government service wherein you got the service and you draw the pay. It is not like that. Police is a profession, and you are supposed to engrossed into it 24/7. When you go home also, I will tell you, we used to carry this entire burden on us. What I will do next tomorrow in this case, how I will answer my superiors, how I will write my case diaries, how I will record the statements. This goes on and on and on and in your mind. And this has made good police officers.
Correct.
And we have good police officers. They should be given the right task to do, then they will perform.
Mahesh Babu has actually spoken some very, very good words and infused some very, very good thoughts, and also reflected on the fact that a real police officer does his job quietly, but we need more of them.
See what happens to Sujoy. Public has certainly no confidence in the police. There's no doubt about that. But that can be easily restored. Now, police have lacked confidence simply because public has lost confidence simply because there is no remedy available for an aggrieved citizen against a police officer who is violating the law.
Right.
There is no effective remedy.
Right.
So let the government provide a remedy. If I find that a police officer is misusing, I lodge a complaint. Immediately action is taken.
Right.
He is suspended and arrested.
Right.
FIR is lodged and he is arrested and treated as any ordinary criminal is treated.
That's correct.
Now, the moment that is done, people will regain confidence that any police officer who misbehaves, the law applies to him as much as it applies to me. If this is done, and that should be backed by performance.
Right.
If the police can take up a few matters, arrest quickly, get convictions, full confidence will be restored.
Correct.
So let the government provide the ordinary citizen a remedy against police abuse.
Right.
You do that and confidence will be restored.
Yeah, Rajan Babu, your final words.
I'm extending what Dr. Radhanal said by saying that the faith in whether the police is investigating or not properly, as Rama has just now pointed out, comes because there has never been an exemplary punishment to an officer who has failed to do proper investigation. If that was there, then there was no need of running after the police. You could have just sat at home and let them do their job, because there will be an action against that. But since there is no action, and that suspension is just a cover-up to at that point of time to just lower the tempers, and those fellows are all gone home back. And they take all the salaries that was suspended and everything in one lump, and again maja maro.
Okay, we've unfortunately run out of time, but I thank all my panelists for a very good and a very riveting discussion. As they say in cricket, that ultimately you need to do your bat do the talking, and the police force also needs to, like a good cricketer, score runs, because once you start scoring runs and perform well, then at the end of the day your critics will go down, because you need to produce results. And I think that is where the confidence will come back, as you all have rightly said. There is one point which was kind of spoken about but not highlighted as much as one should have, and we should certainly look at this whole aspect of political interference and political control, because I think it is very, very important for the elected governments and elected representatives to understand that if you are using the force for your own political ends, then you will end up having a weak force, and when you have a weak force, you have a very weak society, and that completely consumes you. So the thing is, ultimately, if you misuse the police force out of greed, out of political compulsions, then what's going to happen is it's going to come back and hit you with a force that you would have never imagined. And this is what is going to happen. So when we have MLAs, when we have ministers talking about a greater force, talking about corruption and so on and so forth, one should understand that the society is not only encouraging corruption, but at the same time living off it. And this has to end, because a lot of very good points and suggestions that have been given are absolutely top class and absolutely important. But above all this will work if there is a real felt need and honesty and integrity in the people who are elected to serve the state, to see that Goa has a better professional police force. And that level of integrity is more important than anything else that we've spoken so far. And whatever suggestions that have been given will work if we have an honest, upright government which does not see the police force as an ATM. Thank you very much.